Hello and welcome back to another Honor Respect and to another edition of Raw out of 10. And we're of course looking at the fallout from SNME on this week's show. What went down when LA Knight continued his crusade against the Bloodline, Seth Rollins addressed his attack on Roman Reigns, and Danhausen returned to his home show. So a lot going on. They started things off though with Javon Evans and Dragon Lee versus The Vision. Dupree and Paul accompanied the World Tag Championships to the ring for their match. A frenetic performance from the babyfaces defined the match with the unbridled energy, keeping the heels on edge early. For even when they found themselves on the defensive throughout the break, Evans and Lee mounted an electric comeback. Unfortunately for them, they eventually succumbed to interference from Dupree and Paul, a spear from the Badass and the Luchasaur to the victory for the Visions. After the match, the Alpha Academy hit the ring to make the save, but were beaten down by the heels, all while Dupree watched from the top of the ring post, amused by what was happening. A good match that introduced the new team, showcasing them against the champs, and put heel on the Vision's budding rivalry with the Alpha Academy at the same time. This is a great and refreshing way to kick off the show, especially since matches rarely go on first. As we then moved on to being confronted backstage by the Judgment Day over their human monies, Danhausen making his way to the ring and proposed giving it away to the fans. JD, Dom and Liv hit the ring to protest, only for Hendry to make the save, clear the heels. The babyfaces stick tall to close the segment. A brief segment and accomplished nothing. A slightly longer backstage confrontation would not have. At least the immensely successful Danhausen could be a big star in his hometown. Backstage hunks involving all four led to McDonough throwing Danhausen's money inadvertently over Femi, and a match being made for them. Owen Hendry v Mysterio later in the show too. But we moved on to that match, and McDonough fared about as well as you'd expect, and getting bowled over by the Roller, who dominated the action en route to an emphatic victory via the fall from grace. Exactly what it should have been, a dominant and euphoric win for the wrestler ahead of his big match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. And yeah, this was a very good start to the show. 9 out of 10. As we then moved on to Solo Sikoa, who was not supposed to be on Raw, wasted no time going out to the ring and calling out Seth Rollins. The Visionary asked if they were talking or fighting, to which Sikoa opted for the former, much like he did LA Knight a few weeks ago. Sikoa pitched an alliance, claiming he could be an enforcer for Rollins. That brought out Fatu, who was none too pleased about Sikoa's hesitation to rejoin the Bloodline, failing to catch up with the former leader of the MSTs, but did eat a super kick from Rollins to close out the segment. Sikoa's going to be an interesting character. Either he will deliver a huge base Bloodline, or he will get in Kai. But yeah, I think it could be good for his charisma overall, etc. As we then moved on to Penta and Chad Gable versus Ethan Page and Rusev, four of Raw's best squared off in a number one contender match. An action-packed match between the workhorses saw Penta turn Page inside out with Mexican Destroyer, allowing Gable to trap the former Bulgarian Brute in an ankle lock, forcing a submission for the victory, and a big momentum-building victory for Gable, continuing his red-hot run to SummerSlam, and have the IC title with Penta, which will have plenty of interest as one of the key matches of the weekend. As for the match, it's a hard-fought tag match with great workers, and the crowd will hang on there. Strong outing, 7 out of 10. As we then moved on to that Joe Hendry versus Dominic Mysterio match, the product of that angle earlier, Mysterio overcame an early onslaught, gaining the upper hand into the break. Moments before, Liv Morgan blasted Danhausen with a hard right and to send him scurrying to the back. Hendry fought back, emerging from the break, delivering a hit single that earned him a 2. As Morgan interfered, Danhausen emerged in his mobile with Owen and Sky on board. Sky rocked Morgan, caught her with a springboard dropkick in the ring, then wiped her out at ringside. Back inside the ring, Danhausen delivered a Danhausen death drop, and Hendry scored the win to the delight of the fans. An inoffensive match that put Hendry and Mysterio in the ring, highlighted Sky and Morgan feud, and hinted at SummerSlam showdown between Danhausen and Dirty Dom. Not bad for a late show matchup. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Before his main event, LA Knight then cut an impassioned promo on Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns laid out his plan to upend the Bloodline, vowing to beat Jacob Fatu in tonight's main event. They seemingly unstoppable Samoan werewolf bowled over a Knight early, but Megastar slowed his opponent by targeting his left leg. Fatu shook it off and punished Knight until a late match comeback threatened the Bloodline win. Uso appeared at ringside and attempted to interfere, but Solo arrived and cut him off. Royce Keane was out next, followed by Jey Uso, who joined the fray but was wiped out by Knight at ringside. Fatu eventually benefited from the distraction, all of it provided during his trademark moonsault, earning the victory. The Bloodline levelled Knight's keys and Sikoa out to close the show. The match was fine but lacked a spark. The result was also a so-so main event up until the run-ins. From there, everything intensified nicely, and the Bloodline beatdown earned the faction some heat entering SummerSlam in that big 6-man tag. I'll give it 5 out of 10. Overall, Raw this week gets a 5 out of 10, and it just felt like it happened. There was stuff to like, stuff not to like, and almost none of it will be remembered in a week. When Lesnar and Reigns are back, all of the attention is building towards SummerSlam. It felt much like the destination of a placeholder broadcast, a show that existed because it had to, with little in the way of major storyline development, but some good, strong in-ring action along the way. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now. that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.